I just discovered something very interesting. I believe the whole Tarkov community has been overlooking one of, if not the most important attributes when it comes to weapon performance. When I discovered this, I felt like Jon Snow or Josh from Tarkov.
I don't fucking know shit.
Everyone's always debating Recoil versus Ergo, but no one pays any attention to this attribute, and it actually may be more important than them both. Have any guesses to what it is? While you think for a second, let me introduce myself. My name is cztl, and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov informational deep dive. This attribute that I'm talking about, it is weapon weight. I tried pretty hard to keep you on your toes, so stick around to find out why and by how much. I do want to put a disclaimer and say that every attribute is better in certain circumstances than others. There's no one best attribute or one attribute that you should focus on the most when either modifying or buying a gun in Tarkov. Now, a bit of background for anyone who isn't familiar with Ergo and weapon weight. They are both performance modifiers that help contribute toward your ADS time and how long that you can look down sights. Has this ever happened to you?
Bad.
Or this? Jeez. That is both ergo and weapon weight contributing toward your ADS time and how long you can aim down sights. Or in those previous two examples, the lack of the ability to ADS quickly and the lack of the ability to hold your weapon steady for a long period of time. I'm willing to bet that many of you know this information. But when I saw this on the wiki, I was not satisfied just knowing that they both contributed without knowing how much they contributed. Is one 99% and the other 1%? Theoretically, they're both contributing. No, I had to set out on a mission to figure out exactly how much each contributes to your ADS speed and how long you can ADS for. This was quite the journey. Let me describe what I did while demonstrating an example or two. For measuring ADS speed, I used the same video recording software that I'm using now to start capturing ADS video at 60 frames per second, the max that it would record. I would then ADS 3 times with a gun and analyze the footage using Microsoft Photos, which you see here. I was easily able to record the start time, as you can see here, by determining the first frame that you see when the gun starts moving. I was able to measure end time by only using iron sights and take the time in which the front and rear sights aligned. This was quite the journey because I had to start with guns that I could get on a level 8 character, which had almost no strength or endurance, because I needed to benchmark my max strength and max endurance on my main character. I was also able to rule out strength and endurance having an impact on ADS speed. And now we've reached the end time for one of the ADS clips. You'll see the time below. I recorded a bunch of guns with different ergos and different weights that I thought would make a good sample. Some guns have identical ergos and different weights, and also vice versa, identical weights and different ergos. I was seeing different behavior out of pistols, so I excluded them from this analysis. Also, heavier guns were very challenging. They do this little sway thing. It's almost as if your PMC jerks the gun up too far to the upper left and then brings it back down to compensate, and actually compensates too much and has to bring it back up. So I tried to be consistent with how I measured those, where I would measure it on the way back down where you were originally aiming. You'll notice some gray frames at times, and that's just the Microsoft Photos software loading the frame. I used a much easier way to collect ADS stamina data. I just used regular video editing software to record the start and end times as I saw them, and I would pause them just to make sure. Both sets of data are not perfect. The ADS data, there's only 60 frames per second in those videos, and there are 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second. That's about the same amount of error that you'll see in these clips where I'm not using milliseconds to measure the ADS time. With the boring stuff out of the way, let's get into the findings. This is a spreadsheet that I used to gather all the data from all the weapons that I tested. I tested 60 samples, and they're all in this spreadsheet. This isn't ready to be shared yet because I'm waiting until I do my full Ergo video breakdown. But I do want to show these graphs here. So I did notice some trends initially when I captured this data. The weight over time, so as you go up in weight, the ADS time increases. Same thing with Ergo. Over time, the time will decrease as your Ergo goes up. This is some formula that I calculated. It's a little bit wonky. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, but I was able to see a very linear trend out of it. So I thought that there was a way to be able to calculate or estimate what, given a certain weight in Ergo, your ADS speed should be. Now, let's jump into ADS speed results tab. Now, I'm extremely excited to say that I've come up with a model that we can use to estimate the ADS speed given an unknown Ergo and unknown weight. If you plug in an Ergo and weight to it, it will give you an estimated value. We could use that formula to isolate the portion that weight contributes to the ADS speed. And that's what I did here. This model that I've created, the average error is 0.05 seconds or 50 milliseconds. That is almost nothing compared to most of the other models I tried. And with this model, the times that we observed were almost 70% composed of the weight portion of this model. So in summary, we were able to conclude that ADS speed is composed of 70% weight and 30% ergonomics on average. This is a graph of the weight percent versus the ADS time. As you increase your ADS time, weight actually has less and less of an impact, at least from what I observed. That maybe because it's very hard to build a very heavy gun that has a high ergo. Moral of the story is, we've all been focusing so much on having good ergo in our gun, but what we should really be focusing on is weight. So we may be able to have attachments that cost less that do the same thing. The arm stamina results tab, I was able to come up with a very similar model here. I'll just go over the averages instead of going over everything from scratch again. So the average error was 2.38 seconds. That is not bad for a model with this many observations. The average percent weight contributed to the amount of time that you hold your breath was 86% out of all these samples. That is a huge amount. Did you guys just catch that? That's 100 milliseconds. That's double the duration of the error from the last model. Anyways, back to the chart. This chart is a little bit complicated, but there are two bars on here. The blue is Ergo represented as a percent, so 35 Ergo would be 0.35. And the weight percent, that's the percentage that weight contributed. The x-axis represents the total time that you can ADS for. So, for example, at 118, the first set of bars on the x-axis, Ergo was about 0.7 or so, and weight contributed about 0.8 to the longest time that I observed. So, what does everyone now think of weapon weight? I am personally astonished, and I had to make a video earlier than I wanted to, because I thought the information had to get out there. What do you guys think is the most underrated stat in the entire game? I'd like to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, please smash the crap out of that like button and consider subscribing. I know I'm going to be having an ergonomics video coming out soon, so stay tuned for that one. And I will see you all on the battlefield.